Yes, it's time for a new beginning. Everybody will end up winning when we're doing well by doing good. And we're gonna do the things we know we should. I got an email from someone who said that I am demonstrating no respect for the victims in the exhibit, in the silhouette. To the contrary, I have a deep, deep respect and understanding of how they feel, particularly if they were not well treated by the system in the process. I have no disrespect for the 20% of women who need the PFAs that they file. In fact, let me be very clear. I stand with them and tell you that they are victimized again by the 80% of women who file false PFAs and use these 20% of true victims to gain custody advantage or to gain in the property settlement in a divorce or separation. I feel it's horrendous. Another comment was the suggestion that I look like I could just be an angry man. And I want you to know that we don't edit out we don't edit out much. You'll see many of these are straight flow. And so what you're seeing is a real American man. I'm not a politician. I'm not a diplomat. I'm not a lawyer. I'm certainly no hero. I'm just a man who had a child in America and wants to be there for him. And like many, I'm willing to face any opposition and do whatever I need to be there for my son. On the other hand, of course, we have got supporters, including a police juvenile sexual physical abuse detective has chimed in on the internet, and other people across the country with suggestions, and I do appreciate them. Let's move on now. Craig Stedman. Craig Stedman, you saw him. I've had that piece together for a couple of months, the Dungeons and Dragons piece, and had been waiting for an opportunity to ask Craig about that statement. As you can see, he thinks it's none of our business, their approach. But what happened next is worth noting, significant, as a possible sign of the times to come.
I said I'll talk to you if you turn your camera off, Mr. Bonner.
But is that
That's fair.
All right, I'll
So
be
it's
happy.
your choice.
I'll be in conversation with Craig Stedman, and he is alert to what the concerns are. And while we certainly disagree on the prosecutions in the past and other actions of the DA's office, I believe that he is now willing to consider doing the right thing in these regards, more so. I think he hasn't trying to do the right thing. I don't know what to say about it. I think he's more sensitive now to the position of the fathers who are falsely accused. And we have open dialogue, which is all we need to start working on things. And then we'll head on into CAT, because it says here in the Domestic Violence Legal Clinic, a community action program of Lancaster County. It's a wonderful thing. Ah, they're just wonderful people. Just in case you don't know, the reason why these organizations are going to end up being non-governmental, they're going to have some kind of a private cover, entity, shape, form, or such, is because then they have no accountability to the government. But they could even be fully funded by the government and be a private entity. Now, you have no right to see the reports they're generating. Tis. Doesn't quite seem right, does it? Don't you wish you could have a job like that? Daddy Justice, off to the next stop in search of truth, justice, and the American way. Action Program Headquarters. See if we can drop a sheet of questions off for the people who put the money into domestic violence services and oversee the agency and see what oversight they provide, if we can see that. Hi from Daddy Justice Films. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. What I'd like to do is give you a list of questions here I have. Oh, there's my card. Slides out and flies. List of questions I have. Here's my card.
Okay.
I'm doing a documentary on false accusations, and I'm doing a segment now on the internet regarding false accusations for Domestic Violence Month. And I went to the Domestic Violence Clinic, and I asked them where they got the 95% perpetrators are men against women and children. on their exhibit. And they threatened to call the police, and they did call the police and issued me a notice that they'll arrest me if I show back up on their properties. So where does a man go who's a victim of domestic violence in Lancaster County?
I don't have time to discuss those issues with you. I have a meeting. I'm in human resources anyway.
Can you tell me, is it a government agency, the domestic violence agency?
You can write to Ms. Glover at this address.
She has never responded to anything. Or they don't have to respond. They say are they a private agency or government agency? Can you tell me that? It says a community action program.
It's private, nonprofit.
It says community action program on their card. Is that correct?
It's a private, nonprofit.
It's a division of community action program?
Yes.
So are you responsible for them? Do you oversee them?
It's a private, nonprofit part of community action program.
So do they have oversight and accountability to someone in this office?
Yes.
And whom would that be?
The CEO of CAP.
And whom would that be?
Well, you're welcome to leave. I'll pass your information.
Okay. I mean, you would be interested if they're perpetrating fraudulent reports and falsely accusing men
I'm not going to go
of
there
crimes
with
they
you,
didn't commit.
I'm not going to get into any discussion.
Well, you're supposed to be here to help the citizens. And I'm telling you that men are being accused falsely by an agency that you run, and I'm asking you if you'd have interest in that, and that's all I'm asking. Is that something you would have interest in, or is that a taboo subject?
Well, it's not my place to make any comments on that.
Well, Bonnie Glover has told me that she does not think any woman has ever lied on a PFA. And we know that as many as 80% of them lie on PFAs, and they're victims, fathers.
I'm not going to get into arguing
that
discussion
would someone have interest in helping out if fathers and children are being impacted by false accusations created by one of your agencies?
I told you what you could do. You can write a letter.
Well, that's not what you would tell a woman who was a victim of domestic abuse if she came here.
Sir, why don't we go ahead and turn that off, okay? And I think she gave you the information
Whom
you
are
need.
you?
I'm just asking if you could please just turn that off, and then we can.
Well,
we can
because
put you in touch
I
with
have
the person
been
you
falsely
need to.
accused
But
myself
you don't
over
have
years.
permission to film
I don't go anywhere
anyone
without
or any
protecting. Is this a
individual.
government agency?
Police downstairs station. Call them and ask them.
Well, I'm going to leave then if you want me to leave. No one asked me
We
to
can
leave.
ask somebody to escort you out if you need.
Oh, I don't need escorted out. Thank you very little. That's how interested they are in whether or not fathers are being falsely accused by their government-paid agency. Once again, apparently it goes right up the line, doesn't it, folks? The subject of men being falsely accused by women of domestic violence is a subject which is absolutely taboo and which no one is allowed to bring up. Check Katie True out and give her a list now. Hey, Miss True, good day. Ben Vonderheit, Daddy Justice Films. How are you?
Good.
I have a list of questions regarding the exhibit and the 95% number that they said
Rebecca.
men are the perpetrators of violence against women. Do you have any response to that? Do you think that's accurate?
I have no idea.
Are you concerned with the fathers who
I
are
have
falsely
to go.
accused?
That's why I'm leaving.
Yes. But is there any concern or anywhere for fathers to go who are falsely accused of crimes under the VAWA and the other things you support, the extended PFAs? And there's just nowhere in your heart for any compassion for those individuals or their children who lose their fathers in that process? You only have the compassion for the victims who are females?
You don't have a clue what you're talking about as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm
But
a father.
I'm not going to do this now. I know.
Well, I'm a father who suffered this, and there are thousands of us in Lancaster County alone. And you stand in
Now
support
you
of
have a
this.
good tape.
Well, Ms. True handed me back she handed me my hat, as they used to say, I think. I think she handed me my hat. And she's basically saying she could care less about fathers who are victims. I believe that was clear. She has absolutely no concern, no compassion. There's away she goes. Yes, it's time for a new beginning. Everybody will end up winning when we're doing well by doing good. And we're gonna do the things we know we should.